Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. Let me also tell you that I have an evening show 8 to 9 p.m. on Metropole TV called The Smart Investor. And you can find us on GoTV, on Signet Free to Air, and we'll soon be on DSTV. We're also on Star Times, and do catch us. It's really a lot of fun, but a very long day. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar just below 112, 119, 111.98. Dollar index 97.41. Japanese yen 110.56. Swiss franc 101.66. The pound 130.95. It had that storming rally on Friday, which I think was on the basis that the results were anti a hard Brexit. The Australian dollar all over the place. Some people were expecting a rate cut today. We didn't get it. It's at 0.7021. Indian rupee 69.3724. South Korean won 1168.85. The Rial 396.97. Egyptian pound 17.1485. And the Rand 14.44. This is a chart of the dollar index. A lot of the people I follow seem to think we're in for a retracement here. Let's see if we are, but I still think we're headed to 100. Euro dollar doing a lot of work again around the 112 level. I expect us to sell off further. Gold last at 1282.10. I don't think this is running away to the upside. Crude oil last at $61.91 coming off the boil. An extraordinarily good article in The Economist, The Way of More Flesh. Global meat eating is on the rise, bringing surprising benefits. Between 1961 and 2013, the average Chinese person went from eating 4 kilograms of meat a year to 62 kilograms. Half of the world's pork is eaten in the country. Almost 4/5 of all agricultural land is dedicated to feeding livestock. The Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that the global number of ruminant livestock, that is cattle, buffalo, sheep and goats, will rise from 4.1 billion to 5.8 billion between 2015 and 2050. Population of chickens is expected to grow even faster. The chicken is already by far the most common bird in the world, with about 23 billion alive at the moment, compared with 500 million house sparrows. Then they come to Africa. If the West is sated and China is getting there, where's the growth going to come from? Talking about India, but then saying Senegal is the best example, saying that the number of chickens in Senegal has increased from 24 million to 60 million since 2000. Population of sub-Saharan Africa will reach 2 billion in the mid-2040s, up from 1.1 billion today. That would lead to a huge increase in meat and dairy eating, even if people's diets stay the same, but they will not. The population of Kenya has grown by 58% since 2000, while the output of beef has more than doubled. The FAO predicts that in 2050, almost 2 out of every 5 ruminant livestock animals in the world will be African. The number of chickens in Africa is projected to quadruple to 7 billion. Africa has 23% of the world's cattle, but produces 10% of the world's beef and just 5% of its milk. It is often said that sub-Saharan Africa lacks an industrial base, and this is true. Just 1 car in every 85 is made in Africa. But to look only for high-tech, export-oriented industries risks overlooking the continent's increasingly sophisticated food producers who are responding to urban demand. Ideally, Africa would learn to fill shipping containers with clothes and gadgets. For now, there are some jobs to be had filling bellies with meat. And saying as Africans get richer, they will eat more meat and live longer, healthier lives. The Bloomberg Grain Subindex total return tumbled to the lowest since 1977. July soybean futures capped a 7th straight loss as the contract slumped to a record low. Soy has been one of the hardest hit commodities by the trade war, as China, the world's top consumer, snubbed American imports. The pig disease outbreak has forced China to cull more than 1 million hogs, denting the outlook for grain use in livestock feed. Soybean, lowest since the contract was set in November 2015. Corn futures tumbled 4.1%. July wheat slid 2.3%. Oat futures slumped the 20-cent limit. Agricultural ETF closed at an all-time low, down 62% from its peak in February 2008. That's live cattle, corn, soybean, sugar, cocoa, wheat, Charlie Bilello. That's a pretty dramatic development. Emerging markets, the Turkish lira plunged after the High Election Board said Monday that a new vote must be held on June 23rd. We're in a political twilight zone where the economy has fallen to the side, said Anthony Skinner, Verisk Maplecroft. The vote rerun prolongs the electoral cycle, exacerbates negative economic conditions, and kicks the can of reform to the extent that it exists further down the road. Whoosh goes the lira. That was earlier from Paul Wallace. We're well above 6 now, but I'll have to check that again. I wrote about this situation on the 13th of August when Erdogan was having all those problems with the pasta. And I called it cold turkey, and I said Erdogan is a Shakespearean figure. He has slayed enemies, real and not real. His chest has been puffed up with pride. He even rescued the Emir of Qatar. But he has now met his match, that match being the markets. Risk aversion hits emerging markets, with Turkish lira dropping beyond 6 and Turkish 10-year yields jumping beyond 19%.